Hey there, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Energize Your Online Business podcast. Hello, ladies.
Hello.
Hello. As always, I'm joined by my very fabulous co-host, Kate Sitars. Hello, Kate.
Hello.
Hello. And Kate and I are very excited today to be joined by a fantastic entrepreneur, actually an entrepreneur that I have been following for a while, and also a CSS student, Ruth Soukup. Hello, Ruth.
Hello. Thank you so much for having me. It's great to be here.
Oh, it's such a pleasure. It's such a pleasure to see you again. Obviously, we work together in Circuit Sales Systems, certainly, but we also got the opportunity to meet in person at an event, a couple of months ago now.
Yeah. So funny because my team was talking about you and you were at the table next door and you were
Small world.
I heard my name.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
That was fun.
Yeah, so fun to actually meet in person. And then, as I just mentioned before we started recording, I had actually been listening to your podcast, the Do It Scared podcast, for years. So when you joined up in the program, I went, "Oh, I know this person. I know her. I'm excited to work with her." Yeah.
And here I am.
And here you are.
Yes.
So probably a great place to start is to talk about you have a big, robust business now. You are also a 3-brand business, but maybe even a little bit of a peek into how you got started in your business and how you grew to where you are now.
Yeah. Well, how much time do you have? So I basically started back in the dark ages of the internet in 2010 with my first brand, which is Living Well, Spending Less. And started out as like classic mommy blogger, which I guess is kind of precursor to what influencing is now. I mean, mommy blogs don't really exist anymore, but that was kind of the same thing, like sharing my life. I had 2 little kids at home who are now teenagers. And I just kind of started sharing my own life, but then very quickly realized, oh, there's like people making money on the internet. Like, I think I could do that too. And so I remember saying to my husband, who at the time, he was an aerospace engineer, but he hated his job and was so miserable going to work every single day. And I was the stay-at-home mom. And I'm like, honey, I think I could do this. Like, I think I could make enough money blogging that you could quit your job. And he looked at me and he was like, honey, that is literally the stupidest thing that you have ever said. And famous last words, because then I was really motivated, right? Like, if you want to give me a challenge, like, tell me that's the dumbest thing I've ever said. And we have that relationship. Like, he's had to eat so much crow for that for so many years. Poor guy who hates that story. But it took me about 3 years to like actually figure out how to do it, right? Because at the time there were no courses about blogging. There was nothing. Nobody was like really talking about the business side of online marketing or content marketing, as we now call it now. And, it was just a totally different thing. So I would Google, how do you make money from a blog, and started trying to do all the things. And eventually figured it out, and at least figured out how to make enough money that my husband could quit his job. And he quit in 2013. And then I've just kind of been building ever since. But as soon as that happened, as soon as he was able to quit his job, then I had all these people asking me, like, what are you doing? Like, how did you do this? And I want to do this. And so I had readers asking me, I had friends asking me, and that's when I decided to write a book called How to Blog for Profit Without Selling Your Soul, which wasn't really,
that title. So
right?
good.
I never thought about like teaching any of this stuff. I just kind of was like, well, I'll just write it down in a book and then I can hand it to people when they have questions. So that's what I did. And amazingly enough, there were a lot of people interested because, again, there wasn't a lot out there at that time. And the book ended up going to number 2 on Amazon, like the day it came out. And that, which now you realize how crazy that is. And so then that just kind of started the next thing, which was that, people were asking how to do this. So yeah, people were still asking, right? It didn't answer all the questions. All of a sudden they had more questions, and I realized that I needed to create something more. So I ended up launching my second brand, which was Elite Blog Academy, to basically give people a step-by-step process for how to create an online business, right? A blog-based business, and kind of go from there. And so then that kind of became the second thing. And I was doing both of those for a long time and things were going gangbusters. And then for some reason, I decided that I needed something to tie them both together. So I started another brand called Do It Scared, which was the podcast that you listened to, and did that for a while and wrote a book called Do It Scared, was really into that for a while. And then, I kind of came to almost like a breaking point with all these different things that I had going on back in 2019. And, I'd grown my team, my business just grew and grew and grew so fast. And my team was up to like 40 people. And it was just so much and so overwhelming. And I was so burnt out right about the time my book, Do It Scared, came out. And almost had kind of this, I don't even know what it was, like a come to Jesus moment where I realized this was not what I wanted. And something had to change. And so I ended up cutting my team in half and then cut it down even more from there and made some drastic changes, developed a whole new business model for all of our brands that simplified everything a lot more, and kind of just retreated a lot. And that was kind of right around, it was about 6 months before COVID, but then COVID made it even easier to retreat and just be back behind the scenes. But sort of at the same time, I was also struggling with my own kind of health and weight issues, and had, not really shared that publicly. Obviously, that's kind of a very personal thing, is when you're out in front of people and yet you're gaining weight and you feel uncomfortable in your own skin and don't really want to be on camera and all this stuff, right? It was just kind of this ongoing thing. And so COVID again made it very easy to just start hiding and gain more weight. And finally got to a point with that, and where I was like, something has to give. And I don't know why it had never really occurred to me in my personal life to not do what I do for business and for all these other courses that I've created for living well, spending less, with time management and home systems, right? I'm really good at taking all this information and breaking it down, probably similar to your brain, right? Some of us just have this brain where we're really good at teaching things step by step. But it never really occurred to me to do that with health and weight loss. But I did. I started diving into the research and doing all this stuff just to kind of figure out what to do for myself, and ended up creating a whole system that I applied for myself, and ended up losing 40 pounds and, and actually keeping it off, and was so much more happy and vibrant and confident, and started showing up on social media again. And, people, of course, notice this huge transformation, and we're like, what are you doing? What are you doing? You got to share what you're doing. And the teacher in me couldn't not share it, which I needed another company. I needed a hole in my head. Right. So what do? I started another company about 18 months ago. I started another brand called Thinlicious, and we've been working on that. And so now I've had to, grow my team, but we've split into multiple teams. So Do It Scared is sort of I would say on hiatus right now. Well, we're really focused on Living Well, Spending Less, Thinlicious, and Elite Blog Academy. So that's kind of how I started and how I got to here with all these things.
That's amazing. Amazing. And I absolutely, I hear you and feel you when you say all right, well then I was doing this, and then I could also do this. And I just had to add that. I completely guilty. I've done the same thing. And it takes a while to get them all chugging along on their own. Yes. Yeah.
Yes. It's definitely an interesting process. And I would say one that we're still in the process of figuring out exactly where do I fit? How much involvement do I have in each brand? When's it okay to step back? When do I come in? Because at the end of the day, right, talk about the attractive character concept. I realize, and my team realizes that's a lot of it, right? People get attached to you as the personality behind the brand and the person behind the brand. And yet there's only one of you and all these different things. So how do you make that work? And what do you do? What do you not do? How do you make it all work? So we have lots of questions and not always all the answers, but that's part of the fun of it, I think, is trying to figure it out.
Exactly. Lots of opportunity to learn and grow as a business owner and as a person. Yeah.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yep. Yeah. That is definitely one of our core values.
Yeah. So how have you gone about selling your programs? Because I would imagine that focusing I was going to say focusing on selling 3. Yeah, you can't even really focus on selling 3, but what has your strategy been for selling the programs in each of your brands?
We've had different methodologies and different brands. So, for Living While Spending Less, one of our big products has been a physical product called the Living Well Planner. And so that's more of an e-commerce model where we have a shop and we send people there. And yes, we do a sales page and we do sales and that kind of thing, very much email marketing based, get your planner. Whereas we have, like Elite Blog Academy, traditionally we had done big launches for that. And, where for many years with Elite Blog Academy, we would only open the doors once a year. So it was a very big deal when the doors would open for Elite Blog Academy. It was this huge launch once a year, multi-million-dollar launches, and which are very exhilarating in the moment, but incredibly stressful, right? Because there's so much pressure on that 1 week. And then you have, the credit card company freaks out because all of a sudden you have $1 million in sales in one day when you haven't had any sales. And they think that it's like some sort of scam and they can confiscate all your money. I mean, I had PayPal hold on to $1 million for 2 years. I had to hire an attorney because they wouldn't give it back. And so there's just like been crazy things that happen with that. And we would do big like affiliate launches. So then we would with Elite Blog Academy, we would only let our previous students become affiliates, which was a great strategy, right? Because they were very they had gone through the program, they'd been committed to it, they were successful, and then they had grown their businesses. And so it was a really great thing for a really long time. But then it got to the point where it was just so much to manage and so many things and all the pressure that they would feel for that 1 week. And so we just kind of decided to move away from that. And I think part of it was my burnout of just not feeling like I really wanted to talk about that anymore. I think that's part of the problem as an entrepreneur too, is like you kind of move on to the next thing and you don't really feel like talking about the same thing over and over again. Maybe that's why you've just started multiple things, right? And that can be problematic. It's funny because that's not the advice that I would give to anybody who I was coaching or mentoring or telling to grow a business. I would say, focus on one thing and just grow that and just do this one thing and stick with it and keep sticking with it and keep sticking with it and keep sticking with it. And yet, even though I know that's the right answer, I haven't necessarily been able to do that with my own business. So do as I say, not as I do is the right answer, because and you probably feel the same way, right? Like you coach all these people and you can see from a higher level, like, oh, this is actually the answer, even though if I'm not implementing it in my life.
Yes, exactly. And it's like, get something up and going. So it's mostly running on its own. And we have been able to do that with at least one of our brands, but yeah, it's do as we say. Yeah. So what made you want to, well, we talked a little bit about the stress of the live launching. So that makes complete sense. I truly can't even imagine
once a year. Yeah.
Once a year, the stress isn't even the right word for what is on your shoulders when you have to make the year's revenue within
1 week.
1 week. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not to make you go there, but can you dig into that? Because I'm just, especially because you had a team at that point, right? So like, yeah, what are the emotions that you're feeling?
I mean, it's a lot, right? And we had it both ways. We've had years where we've crushed our goals and like blown it out of the water. And then we had years that we planned on numbers and then they didn't happen. And those are hard years and those are hard. It's a hard moment, right? And you have to kind of like balance that out. And so that was sort of what made us want to move more towards an evergreen model. And we've done that in lots of different ways too, where we then, eventually began doing like evergreen webinar funnels. So it was behind the scenes where we would very, very carefully be very careful with our wording. We only open the doors to the public once a year, but behind the scenes, we would have sort of this backdoor entrance where you could come in. If you were going through the evergreen webinar, we would do some JV launches to try to help offset it. And then I think part of the thing with having multiple businesses was that, we would do our EBA launch in March, which is not planner season. And then planner season is really, we would have kind of 2 planner seasons because our planner is undated. So we would have this sort of big back to school push because some people like to start in August with their planner. And then we would have another fall push for the following year. So the second half of the year was usually focused on the planner. So that from that perspective, it worked with the 2 businesses and still having one team who was focused on both things. Adding in some more stuff to the mix definitely made it more complicated.
Yeah, exactly. That's a lot to balance. Yeah. So what was it that got you, that piqued your interest about the circuit sales system?
Well, I loved your video.
Thank you.
I am what you would call a red buyer. I don't know if you use that terminology, the color buyers with like red, blue, green, and yellow. But have you ever heard that before?
No, I haven't.
Oh, so like a green buyer is more of an emotional buyer, where they're very, and green buyers are the bulk of your audience that tend to be emotional buyers. So that's where you want to really like hit the felt need and make sure that you're like hitting all the pain points because they'll buy on emotion. And then there's your yellow buyers who are very visual. So everything has to be fun and aesthetically pleasing. That's a smaller percentage of your buyer base. And then there's the blue buyers who are the high fact finders who will read all the way down to the very last FAQ, right? Yeah, I'm not a blue. And then there's the red buyers, which is a very small percentage, but red buyers are like the best because they're like already hitting the button, right? As soon as they see it, they're like, oh yeah, I want this, right? And it's a joke within my team because every Facebook ad, I'm like, ooh, I'm going to buy that. I'm going to buy that, right? So I think I saw you on an Instagram ad and I was like, 3:00 in the morning, I'm going to buy it. I was 3:00 in the morning in a hotel room. I was at a conference.
Thank you.
And I bought it. Yeah. So there you go. But as soon as I did and started looking into it, like I loved the video and I could see the concept of it, just the power of it in the video, and being a fan of funnels and evergreen and things like that. I thought it was really, really well done and I got excited about the potential for our team and for all of our brands. And so all my teams started going through it and implementing, and they've all gotten to various points in the process, but we've definitely seen some great results from it so far. So yeah, it's been amazing.
Fantastic. Now, are you planning to roll it out to all of the brands? Or, I mean, obviously it's a little bit trickier with the planner, but.
Yeah. We're trying to figure out what to do with living well, spending less. We haven't done it specifically for LWSL. That's been the last one because we're just kind of working on what our ultimate strategy is with that. That's a brand that we've thought about selling for a little while now. And so there's just some question marks there. But definitely for Thinlicious, it's been awesome. In fact, it's fantastic for Thinlicious because making the decision to lose weight for people is a very personal decision, right? So to have something that really like walks them through it and in that kind of in-depth way, we're finding we're not only getting great conversions from it, but we're getting the right people converting and who really get it and they're ready to commit. And that part has been really, really cool too. To see. And then for EBA, we were seeing some great results, but what we realized with EBA through doing it is that we needed to make some changes to our program. So we're actually launching a whole new program for EBA in 2024 that we've started selling just some beta spots for, and we're launching it as a beta in the beginning of, and then we'll redo our funnel, our CSS funnel for Powerhouse once we have that going. But yeah, we're excited about that program too.
That's so exciting.
Congratulations.
Yeah. It's fun to look at things that you've been doing with fresh eyes, or to get the opportunity to look at it with fresh eyes. Yeah. Do you have any, and I don't want to spoil it for anybody who's interested and wants to purchase it, but do you have any insight about the things that you ended up changing? Anything you're comfortable sharing? Because I know that this is kind of a public forum. And
for Powerhouse, or what are you talking about?
For EBA or for
Yeah. So for EBA, what we had for EBA was basically a beginner program called the EBA Foundation, which really was walking, and that's what we were selling in our CSS funnel. And it was converting great, But with EBA Foundation, it was really just helping people kind of set up the basics, like how to set up your website, right? Like the kind of, if you're wanting to start an online business, people get really hung up on the fact that I don't have a website yet. And even though like in your mind, you can be like, well, that's actually the easy part. Like, just do it, right? They get very hung up on that. So if they don't have that piece, then they feel like too intimidated to do anything else. So we would have EBA Foundation, and then we have our next step program, which was called PLPA, Product Launch Playbook Academy, which teaches them how to actually create your program and then launch that. So to vet it and launch it. And those two really, like, you need both. And that was kind of the problem with our product, was that like walking people through the whole process, but then only selling them half of what they needed felt like, And then we thought about combining those two together and just selling it like as is. But really, honestly, it hadn't been updated in a while. And there's things that, the online world does change. And I feel like, especially in this economy, there's a lot of stuff that we've been implementing just through Thinlicious, and a lot of great stuff that we've learned over the last couple of years, that I felt like it was time to really like just ultimately just kind of sunset the other ones, even though there's a lot of good pieces in there and it's still really good content, but to like give people something totally fresh in a totally different way that's much more hands-on and actually walks them through. So I'm very excited about Powerhouse because it's different than anything we've ever done before. It's more like I would say like almost like a program, and yet it's more like a mastermind, if that makes sense, where you're going through it piece by piece, and you don't move on to the next piece until you've completed this piece, so that it people don't get overwhelmed, and you're actually working at it. You can work through it at your own pace, but you're doing it like in a very hands-on way where there's a lot of accountability and a lot of support, and just really like much more high touch than anything that we've done before. So it's exciting. And I think, it's been exciting to see the response and from people like now just launching it and showing them like what it is. And for our beta program, we've only let people join after like hopping on a live training with me, basically because I realized that they need to understand like kind of the whole picture of it. And that's been fun too.
Oh, so exciting. Good for you. I bet your betas are loving it. It sounds fantastic.
So far, we haven't actually started. We've given them some pre-work and they're loving that, but we haven't even started diving in because that won't happen for a few more weeks. But
exciting.
Yeah. It's going to be good. It's going to be really good.
I'm curious with Thinlicious and putting it on a circuit, how were you selling that program before?
Launches. We were doing quarterly launches. Yeah. And one of the things that we were doing with Thinlicious is that, we had an entry-level program called the 28-day metabolism reset, which was really just phase one of our program. And we would host these sort of quarterly challenges that were 28-day challenges. And you could get into the challenge by purchasing the 28-day metabolism reset, within the idea that in the last week, then you would want to upgrade to TAS so you could keep going. But the problem with that was that it was almost like too good. It was too good that they didn't realize, they didn't realize that it was incomplete. Even though it is, right? Even though we know you need to like actually move on to phase two, because phase one is only like meant to be done for 28 days. Yeah. That it was converting, but not at the level that we really wanted it to convert. And so we've completely changed that and just realized that we're going all in on TAS, which stands for Thin Adapted System, is the full name of the program, and getting people into the full thing right away. And really, instead of focusing, even though it is a membership and you pay by the year, we really focus on the yearly membership versus just the monthly, so that people are committed, because weight loss is a journey, right? Like it takes a while. And what we were finding by offering a monthly membership is that people would join in, but then they wouldn't really be committed. They would almost be like, I just didn't want to absorb all the information as quickly as possible, but then they're not actually doing it. And you need the time. So we kind of now are able through the circuit to really that's part of what we're teaching, is that you need to set your expectations that this is a journey, that it takes a while. It's not a diet, it's a lifestyle. and it takes a while to change your habits. And so that's been really helpful too. Like I said, we're getting the right people in, and we get them in without this sort of frantic piece that can happen when people come in and think, I need to quick absorb all this information so I can cancel my membership as quickly as possible. So that's been really great.
Yeah, I just love everything you're talking about, though. It seems like this is helping you really serve them in the way that they need to be served, and not letting people, okay, yeah, we got your money and you purchased, but now you're not actually going to get the results and transformation that you want.
Yes. And I think that I would say that is both my greatest strength and my greatest weakness as an entrepreneur, is that I actually give a crap about people's results. Right? Like, yeah. I mean, it would be so easy because I love to sell, right? I love marketing. I love the sales process. I love learning about marketing. And I think if I didn't actually care, oh man, how great would that be? I mean, from a financial standpoint, right? Because I'd just be like, I'll sell anything, right? And it wouldn't matter. But I actually care so much. And I think that was maybe part of the problem I had with burnout too, in even some of our other programs. Because like Elite Blog Academy, we would get with doing these huge affiliate launches and having, thousands and thousands of people join all at the same time. Yes, we had lots of success stories because we've had sheer numbers. We've had so many people. But what I would also see is a lot of people signing on because they were excited about some affiliate and then never doing the work and not actually getting the transformation. And it kills me. It kills me. I'd rather have fewer people and actually make sure that every single person is, and we have a 92% success rate in our TAS program. Amazing. When we get people in and they actually commit to the program and they start doing, because it's so easy to do and it's so sustainable. It's not a diet. You're not you're not depriving yourself in any way. It's so miraculous. And it feels like that for people. I mean, we have women now. We did this really cool thing for our 1-year anniversary. I was so excited about this. We did an essay contest and we had so many responses from our people sharing their stories, amazing stories. And we picked 5 winners, which was really hard to do. And we flew them to Miami for a makeover, for a photo shoot, and did this just amazing. We did a little mini documentary with it. And it's been so cool to see women who, because it's such a struggle for so many women, and to see women who have literally struggled for their entire lives finally get a handle on this piece of their life and 100% transformation, right? They are off of all their medications. They're no longer pre-diabetic. They're no longer struggling and just to feel like they're it's freedom. And that's really what we've been kind of leaning into is this is not a weight loss program. It's not about a methodology, right? This is about freedom and about creating freedom for your life. And so that's been really just so it's been so cool to see. And I shouldn't care so much because I feel like it does hold me back sometimes. Do you know what I mean? I actually care that people get the results that I say that they're going to get. But I guess
we feel the same way. I feel like we're always slacking each other. Yes, this person did it, or we just want this person to do this one thing. Why can't we help them do it? Yeah.
I get so impatient with people who don't take action.
Exactly.
I can't handle it. Or come on. Let's do the thing and make hard decisions. So that's what I think that's what I like best about CSS is I'd rather have fewer people. So I just want to get the right people in. If you're going to take the time to watch this video and actually get it and make the connection, man, then come on in because we'll change your life. So
I love that. That's amazing. Great. Well, and you said something earlier about the influx of thousands of people right after a launch. And it's funny because I forget that aspect of it because I'm not a launch person because I just think of the launch itself as being stressful. And then you go, you pass out, you take to your bed for another week after that. But you
Oh, no.
you have a massive influx of people who all have, I mean, we know what it's like when all of us listening and watching know that when people are new, that they have a lot of questions when they're new, they're getting acclimated. There's a lot of hand holding, all of it. And to have an influx of thousands of people at once has got to be incredible for you and your entire team. Yeah.
Yeah, it's insane. It's insane. And that was, you kind of think that, like, you think that you're just trying to make it to launch, but we had to learn very quickly that, oh, no. Like, the next month is going to be basically hell month for after the people get in, because they have all the questions and all the things and everybody's confused. And especially when you start to get people who are not the right fit people, and they're especially needy, and it's always the like ones that shouldn't be there in the first place that are the neediest.
Yes.
And so it just, it was, I mean, the money is great, but money is not everything. It's really like having the integrity to know that you believe in what you're selling. Not that I didn't ever, I always did, but not ever. I now am much more clear that not every person is the right fit for me or for my products or for the thing, because I want to help you get results. And so that's a partnership between me and you. Like, that's me giving you the right information, but that's you doing the work. And so that's, I think that's just like growth as a business owner, maybe, is to be okay with that.
Absolutely.
Well, I mean, the wrong people drain you. I feel like, if you have the wrong people, you're talking about the needy people and what, I feel like that's just it's such a drain on your energy.
Yes. 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 100%. And I think I've come a long way from that, along that lines too, of realizing that I would rather charge more for things in order to get the right people in, and not apologize for it, because when the right people come in, they're willing to invest in themselves. And that's part of it too. If people don't invest in themselves, they will never get out of it what they need to get out of it, because they're not committed enough. We value where our money goes. So the more money you're investing in something, the more seriously you're going to take it, the more likely you are to actually take action and get the results that you want to see. And so you're doing people a disservice if you're not charging enough for your products.
Yes, I agree wholeheartedly. We do. We put our attention where we put our wallets.
Yes.
Yeah. That makes so much sense. Ruth, this has been fantastic. And actually, I want to be cognizant of your time, because there's so much more that I could ask you and would love to dig into. But we'll let you have the rest of your afternoon back. Yeah,
exactly. Save it for part 2.
Exactly.
I know. I'm going to have to
follow up
and do a scared podcast once I get that going up again.
Please do. That would be like little entrepreneur Nikki. It would be just a starstruck. Be amazing. Yes.
I love it.
When you launch your next circuit, I feel like we've got to follow up on how that goes. So
Exactly.
Oh yeah, let's do that.
Exactly. And see how it shakes out to have multiple brands across work going on your circuit. Yeah.
Yeah, I love it.
Fantastic. Excellent. Well, the last question I really have is just kind of general advice for people if they're listening in and maybe they're reevaluating how they are thinking about their business, they're thinking about how they're selling, all that kind of thing. Maybe they're interested in the circuit, anything along those lines. What advice would you give people? Which I realize is very broad, but
for somebody who's just thinking about what to do next.
Yeah. Just if they're starting to reevaluate how they're running their business, do you have any tips or pieces of I don't know, maybe philosophies is a better way to put it?
I think having been in the online space for as long as I have and gone through all the ups and downs and gone through all the waves, right? All the different waves of what people are doing and what's hot right now and all the things, is that number one, you need to do the things that energize you and don't drain you is really important. So if you hate TikTok, but everybody's talking about TikTok, don't go on TikTok, right? There are other places to go. There are other things to do. You don't have to be everywhere. You have to be strategic about doing the things that actually are interesting to you and feel like they are the right fit for you and for your brand. The more authentic you can be to yourself, the better off you're going to be. And then also like always grow an audience and a business that you have control over. Don't build your platform on somebody else's platform, right? You can there's so many tools and there's always going to be more tactic. But there's nothing that takes the place of having a cohesive strategy for what you're doing. And that strategy needs to be building your own platform that you actually control, because then you're not at the whims of everybody else. Mm-hmm. So that's what I love about CSS, honestly, is because it's a great strategy, right? Like it's very cohesive. It's very much like put people in here and keep tweaking it. And it just simplifies things. And I think the more you can simplify too, because that frees you up to then be able to pursue the things that you are energized by. It frees you up to pursue the attraction strategies that lift you up, whether it's starting a podcast, whether it's going on TikTok, whatever it is that you want to do right now, or to try some new things, then you know that you always have this way of getting people in and converting them.
Frees you up to start your fourth brand.
Don't do that. Don't do that.
Ruth, this was so fantastic. Thank you so much for being on here. We're going to put the links to all of your programs in the show notes, because I just can see people being like, "Oh, I want to know more about that one and that one and that one." But where is the best place for people to follow you as the business owner?
Yeah, best place to find me is probably on my Instagram at Ruth Soukup. If you want to find me, I usually link to all the different things that I'm doing from there. It's a good hub. And hopefully very soon, the Do It Scared podcast will be back. So if you're a podcast listener, keep checking back, and hoping to get some new episodes up there pretty soon.
Excellent. Well, this fan right here is very much looking forward to it. So I'm glad to hear it.
Awesome. Love it. Thank you so much for having me, Nikki. It was awesome.
Thank you. And with that, we will catch you all in the next episode. Bye, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. Do you want to learn how to sell and scale your offer on autopilot every single day without the chaos of live launching or the low conversions of evergreen? Who doesn't, right? Get our free on-demand video training at circuitsalessystem.com/free. And of course, don't forget to subscribe to this channel to make sure you never miss a video. We'll catch you next time.